Creating a simple RGB glitch text animation in After Effects is quite easy. Today, in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to create this RGB glitchy text animation without using any external plugin. Without wasting much time, let's jump into After Effects and let's get this started. We're going to start by creating a new composition. This will be our text composition. Then we'll be using the standard 1920 by 1080. Duration is set to 4 seconds. Background color will be black. Then we're going to click OK. Then the next thing is I'm going to select my horizontal type tool. Then I'm going to click and type out the word glitch. I'll be using the font Blue Brush. The style is regular and the font size about 274. So I'm going to align my text to the center. Then I notice the anchor point is not in the middle, so I will hold Ctrl or Command by double clicking on the pan by hand anchor point to bring it back to the center. So at the beginning of the timeline, I'm going to press S on my keyboard to bring out the scale property. I will add a keyframe at the beginning of my timeline. I will change the property to 90%. Then I'm going to move to about 10 frames. Then I'm going to change the property to 100%. I'm going to move to about 3 seconds and 20 frames. I'm going to add a keyframe. Then at the end of the timeline, I'm going to change the scale back to 90%. So I'm going to press T to bring out the opacity property. I'll add the keyframe. Then I'm going to change the opacity property to 0. Then I'm going to move about 2 frames forward. Then I'm going to change the opacity back to 100%. Then I'll move my current time indicator to about 3 seconds and 3 seconds and 27 frames. Then I'm going to add a keyframe. Then I'm going to move to the end of the timeline. Then I'm going to change the property of the opacity to 0. So I'm going to press U to reveal all my keyframes. I'll select all my keyframes and I'm going to easy ease them for smoother animation. I'm going to select the first 2 keyframes under the scale property. Under the graph, I'll make sure the edit speed graph is checked. Then I'm going to zoom in a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in the influence of the first keyframe to make the animation slowly easing. Then I'm going to select the last 2 keyframes. I'm also going to do the same, but this time I'm going to make it slowly ease out, just like that. So let's have a preview. We have a simple scaling and fading text animation. So the next thing, I'm going to create a new composition, and this will be our RGB Split composition. So I'll be using the standard 1920 by 1080, but I'm changing the duration to 5 seconds. The color is also black. I'm going to click OK. So I'm going to drag in my text composition into the new created composition. Then under the effect and preset, I'm going to search for shift channels. I'll double click to add the effect on the selected layer. I'm going to set take green from to full off and take blue from to full off. Then I'm going to select my text, edit, then I'm going to duplicate twice. Then on our first duplicated layer, then I'm going to interchange things just to have the RGB order. So I'm going to set it to green. On our last duplicated layer, I'm going to set take blue from to be blue, then the rest to be full of, just to have the RGB order. So then the next thing, I'm going to try and offset these layers. So the first layer, I'll be offsetting it by 3 frames. I'll select it, then I'm going to move by 3 frames. Then our last duplicated layer, I'm going to offset it by 2 frames. So I'm going to change the blending mode of the 2 duplicated layer to screen. So let's have a preview. Using the shift channels effects, we've been able to create a very simple RGB split text animation. So I'm going to create a new composition. This will be our final composition. Still the 1920 by 1080, duration is still 5 seconds and the color is black. I'm going to click OK. Then under our project, I'm going to click and drag in the RGB split layer. Then I'm going to have a preview just to get the overall look of our animation so far. So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer by right clicking. Then at the beginning of the timeline, I'm going to add an effect called Displacement Map under the distort. So I'm going to double click to add the effect on our adjustment layer. At the beginning of the timeline, I'm going to create a keyframe for max horizontal displacement and max vertical displacement. So I'm going to hit the stopwatch icon to create a keyframe. Then I'm going to change the property to 71. Then I'm going to move 5 frames forward. Then I'm going to change the max horizontal displacement to 190. I'll move 5 frames forward again. Then I'm going to change the max horizontal displacement property to 0. I'm going to press U to review my keyframe. Then I'm going to bring back my time indicator to the beginning of the timeline. Then I'm going to hit the stopwatch to create a keyframe for max vertical displacement. I'm going to change the property to -130. Then I'll move 5 frames forward. Then I'm going to change my max vertical displacement to 0. So I'm going to drag my current time indicator to about let's say 3 seconds and 25 frames. All we have to do is to copy our in keyframes and paste it just to create an outro animation. So I'm going to select the last keyframe. I'll copy and I'll paste using Command V, Command C. I'm going to move 5 frames forward. Then I'm going to copy the first keyframe we created. By doing that, we are creating an outro animation on the vertical displacement. So I'm going to do the same for max horizontal displacement. I'll copy the last keyframe, I'll paste it, I'll move 5 frames forward. I'll copy the next keyframe, I'm going to paste it just in that order. We are trying to create an outro animation by just copying and pasting the intro animation. So I'm going to select all the keyframes, then I'm going to easy ease for smoother animation. So let's have a final preview. Now we have our RGB glitch text effect. By just adding the displacement map, it brings more life to the animation. So I'm going to select the RGB split. I'll press P on my keyboard or to click on the stopwatch icon. I'm going to create a keyframe expression wiggle parenthesis 6,10. This is going to give more life to the animation by trying to give the glitchy text effect a kind of shaky effect, bringing more life to the animation. So one more thing, if you want to change the text, just go back to the text comp and select your horizontal type tool, click on the text and just change the text to whatever you want, but make sure you align back to the center, and you can go back to your final comp and you see your text has been updated. So that will be all for this tutorial. If you really enjoyed this tutorial, do not forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you really enjoy my content. Till we meet next time.